Hey guys, we worked on distributive property yesterday, and today we're going to be doing more with distributive property. So let's talk about some more details when we distribute and some different type of problems we could see. Sometimes you'll be using distributive property and you'll be distributing a number or what we call a coefficient that has a variable with it. Okay, in these cases, you need to multiply so you're going to multiply the numbers. You want to multiply the numbers, and then you're going to put the variables together. After that, you must simplify, okay? So make sure you write out your variables in order when you're simplifying, okay? And I'm sorry, not just in order, because it can be in any order, but you need to write it out in alphabetical order. Okay, we want it in alphabetical order when you simplify. So let's go through and I'll talk about exactly what I mean. I'll show you some examples. Let's look at 13. Notice 13, we don't just have the coefficient or the number by itself, but it has a variable. That's what makes it a coefficient. Okay, a variable is with it, so we call that number 6 a coefficient. What I'm going to do is I'll do the same thing. Remember, this is a song and dance. So I need to make 6A dance with B, and 6A also has to dance with 2C. But when I get to 6A dancing with 2C, I'm going to be multiplying 2 times 6, and then I'm going to multiply A times C. Okay? So let's go ahead and write this all out. 6A times B. Now, I am going to go ahead and just put these all together. There's nothing I can really do but put them together. So this would be a 6AB. Okay, and notice Miss Bennett wrote AB in alphabetical order. Okay, that's what you want to do. So having 6BA is not wrong, but you want to put your variables back in alphabetical order for each term. Now I'm going to multiply my 6A times the 2C. And I want you guys to just get in the habit of writing it out so you don't make a mistake. What I'm going to do first is take 6 times 2. Okay? And then I'll have my A and my C together. Now let me take it to the next step, which is simplifying, right? So let's simplify everything. Well, a 6AB just stays as 6AB. Plus 6 times 2 is 12, okay? And then my AC comes down. I have simplified this expression. So take it slow. Make sure you don't miss anything when you're simplifying. Now, in this case, number 14, we don't have it doesn't have a variable with it. So we're just distributing 2 into everything. But I just want you to pay attention. You got to distribute or make 2 dance to with every single term that's in the parentheses. So 2 has to dance with X, 2 has to dance with negative Y, 2 has to dance with 8. Okay, so let's put these things together. 2 times X, well, we know that's just putting it together. That's going to be a 2X. Minus 2 times Y will just be a 2Y. Plus a 2 times 8, which would be a 16. So 2X minus 2Y plus 16. Okay. Let's go down to the next example. Now, this is an example where we have a coefficient with a variable that we need to distribute throughout the entire parentheses, okay? So what we're doing here, again, we're going to make sure 2x dances with 2y, dances with negative 5z, and dances with 1. I want you to always make sure you write everything out, okay? We multiply the numbers, we put the variables together. So 2x times 2y. We're going to be multiplying 2 times 2. And then we put x and y together. So this would be x, y. Okay. And I'll make x a little bit bigger so we don't confuse it. Then I got a minus, again, 2 and 5, and negative 5, I'm going to be multiplying. Okay, so I got 2 and 5 that are being multiplied, and I'll put the 5, well, I'll put the 2 first, because it's going to end up negative, right? So I got a 2 and my 5, times my 5. And I'll write my times small so we don't get that confused with our x's. And then I have to put the variables together, x, z. All right, let's go ahead with the next one. Plus, again, multiplying the numbers, 2 times 1. And then put the variable behind it, x. All right, now let's go ahead and simplify this expression. 2 times 2 is 4. And then I'm going to bring down my x, y. Minus 2 times 5 is 10. And then I'm going to bring down my x, z. Plus 2 times 1, well, that's just 2. And then I'm going to bring down my x. I have simplified the expression. All right, let's go to this last example where we have a 4x. Again, this is a coefficient with a variable. And we're going to be distributing it in to everything in the parentheses. It has to dance with everything in the parentheses, okay? So what am I going to do? Well, I am going to remember before I even start, Miss Bennett is looking at this negative y, and she remembers that this is a negative 1. Okay, so I'm going to write that there so I don't make any mistakes. So for my first one, I have a 4 times a negative 1, right? So I'm writing that down. I got a 4 times negative 1. And then I'm going to put the variables together, x and y. X, y. All right. Then minus, again, this 4x has to dance with the negative 5z. So this is going to be a minus 4 times 5, and then put your variables together, x and z. All right. The last one, the 4 has to dance with the 4x. So this is plus 4x. Now I need to simplify the expression. Well, I got a 4 times a negative 1, and that's just negative 4. Remember, positive times a negative is negative. And then I end up with a negative 4xy. All right. Over here, I got a minus 4 times 5. Well, 4 times 5 is 20. So I got a 20x Z. And over here, the last one, a plus 4x. I can't simplify that anymore. All right, guys, I have simplified these expressions. Let's move on to 17. All right, for number 17, it is a 3a times b plus 2c. Now, again, guys, we got a coefficient with a variable. So we're distributing and letting 3a dance with b, and 3a is going to dance with 2c. And I'm just writing it out. 3a times b, well, that's, all I can do is put everything together. That's 3ab plus 3a times 2c. I'm going to multiply the numbers. So that's 3 times 2. And then I put the variables together. A, C. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and let's simplify this. This would just be 3ab plus 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6ac. I have simplified the expression. Let's move on to the next one. Negative 5x times y, the quantity y minus z. Again, we're distributing negative 5x into each term inside of the parentheses. I got to be careful here because 5x, remember, 5x has a variable, but also it's negative. So don't lose your negatives when you're distributing. So we'll write everything out. Negative 5x times y. Okay, that means I'm going to have a minus 5, and then I put the x and the y together. Okay, just put your variables together. Now, I need to be careful when I distribute. I got a negative here. This is how I want you to do it. Notice there's a minus here. So I'm going to say, hey, this is minus a negative 5. And then I'm putting my variables together. X, Z. Now let's simplify everything. Negative 5xy. Guys, this is where we have our keep, change, right? Keeping the first number the same. This is just a number. Change subtraction to addition. Change subtraction to addition. So this would be a positive 5xz. So when I see that double negative there, keep, change, I'm going to do the same thing I did with numbers. I do my keep, change. Keep the first number the same. Change subtraction to addition. Change the negative to the positive number. Keep, change. All right, guys, let's go on to what happens when we distribute with fractions. And I just want you to know, as much as we love fractions, guess what? It's no different when we're distributing with fractions. All we're going to do is just write the fractions out completely. That's all Miss Bennett wants you to do. So I want you to just write it out completely when you're distributing. And what I mean, I'll show you an example. The first example, 16, says 1/4 times the quantity 8x minus 4. So I am going to distribute a fraction this time. And remember, distributing is just multiplication. And we know how to multiply fractions. That's all we're going to do here. So when I distribute 1/4 in here, what I'm going to do is write it all out completely. I'm saying 1/4 times the number 8. And then we have to write our variable to the side, right? Then we have our minus sign. And then I'm going to say 1/4 times the number 4. Now I'm going to simplify this. This is not so bad. This is stuff we know. We know how to multiply fractions. E-learners, face-to-facers, when we multiply fractions, how do we multiply? How do we multiply? Exactly, we multiply straight across, okay? Did we forget that? I hope we didn't forget that. I hope you guys said, hey, I just multiply straight across. Remember Miss Bennett told you just extend the line and multiply across. So I'm just going to take 1 times 8. Well, that is 8. And a 1 times 4, that is just 4. So I have a 8/4x. Over here, same thing. Minus 1 times 4, extending the line, just multiplying across. 1 times 4 is 4 over 4 times 1, which is 4. Now let's make this a little bit more simple, okay? Remember, fractions are just division. So this is no different. An 8/4 is no different than saying 8 divided by 4. Well, we know what 8 divided by 4 is. That's just 2. So I'm going to simplify this to 2x. And then minus 4 divided by 4. Well, 4 divided by 4 is just 1. Okay, so I have simplified this expression. I distribute with fractions. I'm not afraid when I see that. I know that I can do it. Yay, I can do it. All right, let's do the same for 17. We have to distribute 1/6 in, which means 1/6 has to dance by multiplication with everything. Okay, here we go. So that means I'm going to write it out. 1/6 times 3/5 x. So I'm going to say, hey, I'm taking 1/6 times 3/5, and then I write my variable to the side, x, plus 1/6 times 18. So I'll write it out, 1/6 times 18. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and I will simplify this expression. I'm going to multiply the first set. Again, multiplication with fractions, just multiplying across. 1 times 3 is just 3 over 6 times 5. 6 times 5 is 30. All right, I bring my x down. So this is 3 over 30. Plus 1 times 18. Remember, this 18 is over a 1. I'm sorry, Miss Bennett didn't write that. So I'm taking 1 times 18. Well, that's just 18. And then a 6 times 1 is just 6. Now, let's take it an additional step. Let's make this more simple. If I look at 3 over 30, guys, I'm thinking about a number I can divide out of both of those. And I noticed I can divide 3 out of 30 and 3 out of 3. I can divide that top and bottom. Let's make this more simple. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 3 and 30 divided by 3 is 10. Okay, so I can simplify this to 1 over 10 x plus, now remember, 18 divided by 6, or 18 over 6 is just 18 divided by 6. 18 divided by 6 is just 3. All right, guys, let's look at the last example here where we're taking a -1/8 and we're distributing it, okay? Key thing, guys, is just mind your negative. Don't lose your negative. So I know for the first one, I'm going to write it out. Negative 1 over 8 times 4 over 5x minus 24. And let me do it this way, guys. Sorry. I'm going to write the fraction first because I want us to see something. So I got a minus 1 over 8 times 24. All right, let's go ahead and simplify. Simplify. So the first thing I'm going to do is just multiply across, right? A negative 1 times 4 is just a negative 4. A 8 times 5 is just 40. So negative 4 over 40. I bring my x down. Now I have a minus a negative 1. Remember, 21 is over 1. Negative 1 times 21, or 24, sorry. That's just a negative. Be careful. Make sure you write your negative. That's just a negative 24. And in the denominator, a 8 times a 1 is just a 8. Now, this is where we look, guys. You look at this expression and you see that double negative and you're thinking to yourself, keep, change, change, okay? Keep the first term the same. So we're just going to copy negative 4 over 40. We're going to change, or we're going to keep the x, sorry. Then we're going to change the subtraction to addition. So I want to change this to addition. And then I'm going to change a negative 24 over 8 to a positive 24 over 8. Keep, change, change, guys. Make sure you see that. When you see that double negative, you remember keep, change, change. All right, let's simplify this. I want to simplify this just a little bit. If I see a negative 4 over 40, I know I can divide both of those by 4, right? 4 divides evenly to the numerator and denominator. So 4 divided by 4 is just a 1. And it's 4 divided by negative 4. So that's going to be a negative 1 over 40 divided by 4 is a 10. So I would have a negative 1 over 10x plus 24 divided by 8. 24 divided by 8 is just 3. Okay, I have simplified expressions. I did it. And I wasn't afraid of the fractions. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go and move to combining like terms, which is what we learned last week, and distributive property. We can so do this. Crack your knuckles, guys. Get ready. We can do this. All right, guys. Let's talk about distributive property. Distributive property, or distributive property with combining like terms. When you really simplify an expression, okay, so you need to ensure that there's no parentheses and no like terms. So in order to do this completely complete and be completely complete, we distribute. Then after we distribute, we look and we combine the like terms. So we're putting both of those processes together. Here we go. Let's look at 19. I'm looking, I see there's parentheses, numbers in front of the parentheses. That tells me that I need to go ahead and I need to distribute, okay? So I am going to distribute 8 into the parentheses to get rid of the parentheses. So 8 has to dance with 2x. 8 has to dance with -3. All right, remember I multiply the numbers together and then I keep my variables. So 8 times 2, well, 8 times 2, and let's write it out. 8 times 2 and then an x. There we go. Yeah, let's just write it out. Ms. Bennett is going to write it out. The next one, 8 times -3. So I got a -3 here times my 8. And then I have a -6x in the back. Notice I did not make 8 dance with the -6x. Why didn't 8 dance with the -6x? Because the -6x wasn't in the parentheses. So it does not get danced with, okay? Don't let your set dance with something that's not in the parentheses. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to that, okay? Let's go ahead and simplify, guys. 8 times 2. Well, 8 times 2 is 16. And then I bring down my variable x. Minus 3 times 8. 3 times 8 is 24. And then that's it. Then I have over here my -6x. Now look at this, guys. We would normally say we're done. We're ready to go. But no, we have to go ahead and combine like terms. I noticed that I have 16 x's over here and -6 x's over here. So I need to combine those terms because they're alike. 16x minus 6x, or 16 minus 6 is going to be how many x's? And I'll draw a line across this box so we can have some more room. Yeah, 16 minus 6, that's just 10. So I have 10 x's. And then I'm going to bring my -24 over. So my final answer is 10x minus 24. All right, let's look at 20. 20 is the same. We are going to distribute. Now look at this. Look at what we're distributing. I'm taking 9, and I want 9 to dance with 2k and -4. And I will stop. Only what's in the parentheses. Then I look at my -2 here. I want my -2 to dance with 7k and -12. Only what's in its parentheses that's following it. Are we all on the same page? Only the parentheses sets that's following immediately after it, okay? So don't have it dancing with somebody else. Don't let it cheat, okay? 9 can't cheat on 2k minus 4, okay? It has to dance with only what it's in the parentheses with. Here we go. 9 times 2k. Well, that is going to be a 18k, okay? And then 9 times a -4. Well, that is going to be a -36. Now over here, I got a 9. I'm going to, again, multiply the numbers. -2 times 7. Well, that is a -14. And then I get my variable, k. And then a -2 times 12. Well, that is a plus 24. Okay. Now I want to go ahead and combine like terms. So I'm going to take everything that's the same and put it together. Well, I notice I got some k's here. I have 18k minus 14k. Well, how many k's do I have? 18 minus 14. You're right, I have only 4 k's left. All right, and I have a -36 plus a 24. And guys, we know different signs. We're just subtracting. we're going to go with the sign of the bigger number. So I know my answer is going to be negative. And then I just subtract 36 and 24. If I subtract that, I end up with 12. Okay, so I know this is negative 12. 4k minus 12. Let's go down to 21. 21. Be careful with 21. Look at that. A 10 minus a y minus 6. When I see a negative in front of a parentheses like this, what I'm not doing, I'm not distributing this 10. No, because it is not hugging the parentheses. So that is a big no if you're trying to distribute the 10. No. If you have a positive or negative sign in between a number and a parentheses set, that means that there is a 1 in front. So this is a negative 1. What I'm distributing into this parentheses is a negative 1. Negative 1 has to dance with the y, and negative 1 has to dance with the 6. So if I write this out, I'll end up with 810. Now look at this, negative 1 times y. That would be a negative 1y, and I'm just writing it out. And then a negative 1 times negative 6. Well, negative times negative will give me a positive 6. Look at that. Then I have my minus y. Again, I'm not going to keep distributing because y does not get danced with. It is not in the parentheses. Now, let's simplify this. Simplifying all of this, I see some y's here and some y's over here. And they're both negative. So that means I'm just adding. So this is just a negative 1y minus y. Well, that's just negative 2y. Negative 2y. Okay? That's negative 2y's. And then I got a 10 and a plus 6. Well, 10 plus 6 is 16. So plus 16. All right? Very important that you pay attention to your negatives, guys. Very, very important that you pay attention to your negatives. Let's look at 22. What would 22 be? Well, remember, we are we're not distributing 6 over here to this 4w because 6 is far away. What's going to be distributed is the 8. 8 is being distributed into the parentheses set, and only the 4w minus 7. Now, what's happening over here, guys? I see a negative in front of 2w plus 1. Again, that means that that is a negative 1. I'm writing that in. I know it's a negative 1 there. So I'm distributing negative 1. It's dancing with 2w, and negative 1 is dancing with 1. All right, let's go ahead and go. The 6 has to just come down. So I'll just have a 6 plus 8 times 4w. Well, 8 times 4 is 32. So I know this is 32, and then I write my w. 8 times negative 7. Well, that would be a negative, right? Because we're multiplying. And then 8 times 7 is 56. All right, next one. Negative 1 times 2w. Well, that's negative 2w. And then a negative 1 times 1 is just going to be a negative 1. All right, let's go ahead and simplify the expressions. I am going to put a red pen there. All right, so I will have a 6. I see a 6. And I see a negative 56. And I see a negative 1. Okay, then over here, like terms, I see the 32w. And the negative 2w. So let's put the w's together first. 32w minus 2w's. Well, that's just going to be 30w's. Now let's talk about the numbers. Negative 56, and we have to be careful. Negative 56 minus a 1. Let's do that first. Well, if I take negative 56 minus 1, that's going to be more negative. I'll end up with negative 57. Okay? So I got a negative 57, and I'm going to be taking negative 57 plus 6. Okay? And if I think about that, negative 57 plus 6, I go with the sign of the bigger number. So I know my value is going to be negative. And then I'm just subtracting. I'm thinking 57 minus 6. Well, that's just 51. All right. I have simplified with combining like terms. And this is what you guys are going to practice. You have about 10 minutes to do some practice today. Then I'm going to give you some time tomorrow to practice a little bit more, and you'll upload this to Canvas, okay? And then we'll do some activities with distributive property.